Where did I come from and what am I supposed to be doing? I have no idea. This drunkenness began in some other tavern. When I get back to that place, I'll be completely sober. Meanwhile, I'm like a bird from another continent sitting in this aviary. The day is coming when I fly off, but who is it now in my ear who hears my voice? Who says the words with my mouth? Who looks out with my eyes? What is the soul? I cannot stop asking. If I could taste a sip of an answer, I could break out of this prison for drunks. I didn't come here of my own accord, and I can't leave that way. Whoever brought me here will have to take me home. This poetry, I never know what I'm going to say. I don't plan it. When I'm outside of saying it, I get very quiet and rarely speak at all. I'm just going to hold this. There we go. So that was Brittany. So now my shit. So this one is called Flat and Flatter. Years ago, I had the distinct pleasure of working in a piano bar. Well, that's not quite accurate. I endured a daily dose of stainless steel nails on a chalkboard and cats being flayed in an alley with a butter knife, all set to a Sondheim tune. The piano queens took their warbling very seriously. They would scurry in at 5 when the pianist arrived and take their requisite seats around the baby grand. Heaven forbid a newbie came in and sat at the piano. Heels would be flying as they bickered over the rights to the wobbly 3-legged front row seats. Inevitably, a queen would stomp over to the bar, hairpins flying, to log in their complaint to my deaf ears. My standard response? First come, first served, let me buy you a drink. Free drinks are a sure way to calm the savage beast. If Fay Ray had a Bombay martini in her hand, that damn gorilla would have sat his ass down right quick. Once the players were all in place and the curtains drawn, what followed was enough to make the dogs in the outer burrows wail in oral agony. The same string of songs were requested daily. I did it all for love. Well, if you love me, you'd shut the fuck up. All I ask of you is to shut the fuck up. Maybe this time, you'll shut the fuck up. I am what I am. What I wish you were was somebody who's gonna shut the fuck up. A couple breakout performers were Mary, who drank a rum and coke but wanted very little rum as she was a self-proclaimed very light drinker. A nugget she would share with you every time she came to the bar, which was at least 8 or 10. Light drinker indeed. She bared a faint resemblance to Patti LuPone, but didn't have a fraction of the talent. And of course, she would provide me with a daily dose of "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." I tell you, if Argentina heard this rendition, they would be crying and stabbing their ears with an ear-sharp object. Another was Patrick, a waif of a man whose singing ability matched his slight stature. He performed La Vie Rose in a high voice so pitched and nasally, I was convinced Truman Capote had an afterlife timeshare in his body. If that wasn't enough to put the final nail in the coffin, he'd be doing the whole damn thing in French. Mon Dieu. I'll die day after day after day after day till the days go by and you shut the fuck up. My only recourse was to sing along to every tune loudly. I soon discovered that not only could I carry a tune, I was pretty good. A fact that irritated some of the queens. I didn't care. If I had to be there, then this was my only option to maintain some semblance of sanity. So shut the fuck up and play it again, Sam. That was out. Where's my page turner? And now a word from one of my favorite patrons of the tavern. We'll start with Dorothy Parker. I'd like to have a martini, 2 at the very most. After 3, I'm under the table. After 4, I'm under the host. I'm not a writer with a drinking problem. I'm a drinker with a writing problem. 3 be the things I shall never attain. envy, content, and sufficient champagne. Next piece I call The Monster Mash. I worked at the Monster in New York City in the allegedly late 90s, early 2000s. I can see you from here.
I'm bad at math.
And just as there is community among bar patrons, there is also a kind of family connection among the enablers, aka bar staff. Not the supportive, compassionate family you would see on a very special episode of Blossom. More like the Jerry Springer, my mom is dating my brother and they're having Rosemary's Baby kind. The fact is, we are more comrades in arms battling the legions of boots-swilling guerrillas invading our territory. In the Big Apple, we had perhaps one of the most well-oiled yet dysfunctional band of brothers, well, I should say sisters, because once you were hired and the rest of the bitches took a shine to you, they would bless you with your very own girl name. There was no choice in the matter. They would choose one and continue to call you by that name until you caved and wore it like a badge of absurd honor. A few that I remember were Patsy, whose real name was naturally Patrick, a particularly handsome and curiously androgynous former model with some faint aspirations of being an actor. He had a face so polished and peeled that you could see your reflection in its incandescent glow. Just to be in his presence was not unlike basking in the light that is our Lord. Actually, he was a pretentious elitist mannequin who was now a wife and mother living in the Upper East Side with the ideal husband, a plastic surgeon. There was Leona, actor Leona Helmsley, bless her crazy ass heart. I don't remember his real name, but it didn't matter, as Leona was the perfect fit for this coke-snorting, booze-guzzling bitch on wheels. He was our manager for a time until he was fired, an event everyone on the staff knew was coming well before he did. Much to his credit and namesake, he ran a pretty tight ship, probably because all of that cocaine prevented him from unclenching his asshole. Melanie was another, who I believe has passed on, so I won't say anything too crass about him. He was a chain-smoking alcoholic and former drag queen who lived in the fast lane until he was pulled over and cited. During my time at the bar, he remained on the wagon and looked as if the years of hard partying had run him through every KitchenAid attachment possible. Our relationship became strained after I faked a drug habit so I wouldn't be canned. I'm terrible, I know that is true. I faked a drug habit so I wouldn't be canned. They were terribly sympathetic to pleas for redemption. Which brings me to Sandy, another one on the wagon whose stories of the good old days would keep me in stitches. Apparently in his cloudiest days, he would grab any bottle and pour it straight down his throat. Boy, that would be convenient if I could do that to patrons. Think of the time and money saved. But I digress. After his tank hit full, Sandy would drop his head into a garbage can, vomit, then lift his head and ask a patron for their order in one seamless move. Swill Lake indeed. My name, I am reticent to admit, was Yolanda. No. You got it, Yolanda Vega. No doubt a touch of racial profiling. At the time, there was a woman on a local news station that would announce the New York lottery with the enthusiasm of a rabid chihuahua. And profiling myself. My bad. Her name was Yolanda Vega. I came to work one day and it was decreed that this little Latin spitfire would forever be Yolanda. Or sometimes Yo for short. I tell you, I got to the point where if somebody shouted my real name, I wouldn't hear it, but whisper Yolanda from across the room and I'm all ears. I'm not sure if any of these names were just for fun. I was never particularly interested in having a girl's name, and if I did, I'd do drag. No. I since have. Perhaps it was a way to strip away our identity and homogenize us into a sorority dedicated to the needs of our patrons. When I was behind the bar, I didn't think about my problems. They belonged to someone else. I was just Yolanda.